And when did it first occur to you that your personal choices could affect the environment?
Oh, I guess always, you know, I mean, the idea of, you know, recycling or, you know, turning off the lights, not really letting the hot water just keep running and running. I think I was brought up that way. I think for economic reasons as well as for, you know, environmental reasons, really.
That's great. Is it something that you were taught in school?
No, I haven't. Yeah.
All right. The next question is, does nature and the environment play any role in your songwriting?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, totally. I think.
Any
Oh, there are
album
always.
in particular, maybe, or
Any what?
any particular album where you were really thinking about the environment or nature?
I think, in general, I think that references to, you know, different moods that nature, you know, creates for you and how it affects you, and putting you in a position, like we have this one song called End of the Run. I think it's on one of my solo records. And it's about, you know, New York City, and one of the descriptive lines is the cars were all dirty and slow, you know, and that's like wet winter,
Yeah.
you know, sludge, you know. So it's always been part of
Always
my
been
reference, yeah.
Great. And so one of the main things Rock and Rhythm is trying to do is teach kids about fossil fuels and renewable energy.
Okay.
And one of the questions we're asking everybody is, do you think if you were more aware of the detrimental effects of fossil fuels as a kid, that the world would be in a better place?
Yes, I do. I think that, you know, man has a very inventive nature, and that, you know, there's no reason in the world why we couldn't have, you know, schools that were functioning on solar energy or wind power, and you know, I mean, because there are places in the world where people have backup generators. Granted, they are gasoline, you know, motors, but I mean, there are a lot of places in the world where they have their own generators, and they have to have backup generators. So why couldn't they be solar powered or wind powered?
Yeah.
And I think since the 70s, I've always wanted to have my own windmill, and I actually brought this little thing that I was
turbines,
looking
yeah.
at, yeah. And I think it's a terrific thing, and it's not cheap, but it's not, you know, beyond the pale. I mean, I think that a lot of people could make that kind of investment, and whether they have the property to do it. But I think that there used to be a building on the Lower East Side of Manhattan that actually had its own generator, you know, its own wind, you know, power thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So that's sort of the next question is there any environmental issue you particularly want to talk about?
Well, I think one of the things that I've sort of come across lately, you know, just thinking about what is actually happening, I think that the removal of all the oil and all the fossil fuels from underneath the crust of the earth is really dangerous, because it's sort of like all of these plates are riding on this fluidy cushion, right? And when that's gone, what are they going to be on? You know, they're going to go down. They're going to crush in. And I think that, you know, this is something really, really the end of the line. I mean, this is a totally serious, you know, scientific look at things, I think.
Yeah, totally destabilizing.
Yeah.
I completely agree. So this is so great. It's just going to be edited into short sound bites and then plays in schools, and kids see they're like rock idols, like you know, thinking about the environment.
I hope so. Yeah, it's really, because these are the people. I mean, it has to happen even sooner, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I don't think we have a minute to waste.
Definitely not. So how did you get involved in Rock and Rhythm?
From Mr. Lives. He wanted
discovering how much you know about the subject, and I mean, just talking about like the fossil fuels, like I've just been investigating. I mean, the reason this whole thing came about is when we got asked to do the last tour, I was looking at like the fuel costs, and I was going to buy like a Ford E350 van. And then I saw they get like 9 miles to the gallon. And I picked up a Dodge Sprinter van, which gets like 21 miles to the gallon, and it runs on biodiesel. And so as we were on the tour, we're looking for like all these biodiesel stations.
There aren't any.
There aren't any.
Because I wanted to get that,
Yeah.
I wanted to get that car too.
And it's just, you can't really
You
do
can't,
it.
yeah.
So this is to bring awareness to that. And, you know, I'm just curious, like, now we're using MySpace a lot, and I'm not sure how into it you are, but do you think that we can use MySpace, like, for all the international fans to bring this message to even further, like, further parts of the world? I'm just curious, like.
Well, yeah, I do. I mean, there are problems. I mean, you've traveled a lot. You know what's going on. I think that in the Western world, we're really educated about it. We're aware of it, and even our emissions have, you know, been greatly reduced. But you know, you go to Asia, south of the border, there's a lot of problems. Maybe
Yeah.
we should stop. Yeah, I mean, the pollution and the emissions are way out of control. It's unbearable. You can't really walk in the street.
Yeah.
And you see, you know, a lot of trucks with practically maybe no muffler. I mean, just black.
Just spewing out.
Scumminess. So, I mean, if these kids, you know, on an international, a huge international basis can get it, I mean, is MySpace translated into other languages?
It is, yeah. There's transfer message. There's ways that you can translate the messages, but that's a good point, because a lot of what it is a lot of educated kids that have access to it, because also you need a computer to be on it.
Exactly.
So it's like, I'm just trying to figure out, because this I think will work, these kind of social action programs, if we get kids through like rock and roll music and tell them they're just not cool if they don't fix this problem. I think that we can really turn things around here, but it's like, the way I'm starting to picture it is, it's just, we're all in the same swimming pool. It's like, if we're keeping our side nice and clean,
Doesn't matter.
what's going on at the other end is eventually going to get over to us.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm just kind of, as I talk to artists to do this program, I'm just kind of putting out my own curiosity as to how we can get to the uneducated parts of the world, because their problems are so much more, they're like 15 years back, and it's a lot more basic stuff, just like getting clean water and stuff like that. So, you know, we can hook up again, you know, in a couple months and see, you know, we'll figure it out. We'll figure this whole thing out, just, you know, in like 3 months.
Yeah, okay. Well, I mean, I think that one of the major things would be if, you know, the corporate world and the people that, you know, are making the most money from, you know, fossil fuel involved products were able to make a transition, you know, and to lead the way. And I don't know, you know, I mean, there's that little, you know, USB cell that we were talking about.
Yeah,
you know.
and that's an interesting idea. It's like basically all the things in your house that don't require a lot of power take a lot of power just to do nothing.
Exactly.
I think there was a quote in your email that you sent that was like, it's like filling a glass of water by opening a dam.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, we keep our VCRs and our DVD players and our cell phone chargers plugged into the wall, even not plugged into what they're doing.
Right.
And they're taking out, like we have these factoids that were kind of just really put it into perspective for me in terms of like pounds of carbon dioxide.
Yeah.
And the one with the latent energy, like or the not used energy, that was the biggest waste, and it's not even being used for anything. I mean, and I think when we first spoke, you mentioned this idea that you've been kicking around about harnessing aerobic devices, and I think that's brilliant. And I'm wondering, you know, the ones that don't run on power, you know, like the Gazelle machine and like the bicycles. I mean, we've literally got people on those things all the time.
Constantly.
So, you know.
I mean, those could be hooked into generators. I mean, everybody at gyms, everybody who goes to gyms and uses those cardio machines, you know, the bikes, the Stairmaster, the whatever the, you know, the treadmill, they have always been saying that.
And, you know, I think in the end it's going to come down to how it will inspire people's wallets, because unfortunately that's how a lot of people think.
Yeah.
And, you know, I was thinking about that idea, and you could basically have your own car, you know, so you're powering, and then that's your fuel, you know, you generate your fuel, and that saves you money. I think that's the way we, you know, get people to think about it at least.
Yeah, getting people, you know, thinking about it and acting that way, you know, so just sort of as, this is the way it's done, you know, this is the way, I think that's, as you say, education is everything.
Yeah.
I think one of the best recycling countries that I've ever visited was the UK.
Yeah.
Because they have, you know, they separate their glass even. They have
Right.
white
Colors.
glass, green glass, and brown glass.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, it doesn't take that much.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for talking with us, and
My pleasure.
looking forward to just getting this word out to kids. So.
Yeah, I think it's terrific that you're doing it.
Awesome.